Police in India say they have held 16 people in connection with the beheading of a 63-year-old woman in a village in the state of Assam. Branding women as witches is particularly prevalent among tribal communities and tea plantation workers in the state and among other rural communities. Jose, gosh, this is something that you would never believe that it's real life. It's just amazing. I don't even know where to start. Look, Purni is her last name. This is one of the guys say, okay? The AFP, the French news agency, they said they quoted a villager of saying, Purni was a witch and cast evil spells on her enemies. There's no place for such sorcerers, and so killing is justified. This is the kind of thinking that we have in 2015 in a country like India. It's so scary. I mean, they pulled her out of her home by her hair. They stripped her naked. They took her to another woman in the village who claims she's possessed by the goddess Lakshmi, who is the goddess of prosperity, apparently not the goddess of common sense or intelligence in that matter, because she ordered her to be beheaded on the spot, and they went through with it. And judging by this AFP news agency quote, they don't seem to really be regretting that decision or at all. They felt it was the right thing to do. Isn't it amazing to think that this kind of stuff is happening in 2015?
It is amazing that it's happening, but it does not surprise me a bit because, you know, around the world there's still deep-rooted occultism, and all believe that, you know, there's plenty of gods around, you know, for us to justify our crazy human actions. And India, in particular, it's a very mystical place, and as mystical places go, also there's a lot of superstition. You know, I did a story not too long ago about the prevalence of multi-limbed childs that are born in India, and the reality that underneath of it, it's probably nuclear contamination that is creating these defects. So, but they do see these kids, and immediately they compare them to some of the gods that, you know, like Ganesha that has multiple limbs, and they say, oh, this is a reincarnation. So through that magical thinking, they allow themselves to commit and justify some actions that definitely are barbaric.
Based on nothing other than superstition. And we see the same thing with droughts, with floods. People just, you know, say, well, it's the work of the gods. What are we going to do? For example, we spoke about this just a minute ago, the Sati Pratha, which is this old Hindu tradition where if your husband dies, if you're left widowed, you have to jump on the fire and kill yourself when his body's being burned. That gives you some fast track into heaven. And people believe that.
Yeah, you become a goddess and they put a statue on your behalf, a shrine, and then...
But a lot of people, they'll believe that women are forced into doing this. They don't want to jump on the fire.
I don't think no one wants to jump into the fire, as devoted as you are.
And you know what else is interesting? You would think an age-old practice like that was due to the thinking of a man who said, you know, if I die, I want my wife to die too. But surprisingly, in this case here, 9 of the 16 people who were just arrested in connection to this beheading were women. So women are just behind these traditions as men are. So I mean, look.
Sometimes they defend them even like, you know, some women that feel the necessity in a social group to uphold the older traditions, and they are very disciplined and very critical about the change that some younger generations wants to bring to their societies. And it does not surprise me that they're right at the front of this, trying to, you know, keep these traditions and these actions, you know, justified.
Yeah, it's really sad, and I can't believe that it's happening nowadays. Well, we want to know what you guys have to say about all this. Is the Indian government doing enough to stop these age-old practices, people being beheaded, being accused of being witches? I mean, really, in 2015, unfortunately, it happens in other countries too. Well, we want to know what you guys have to say, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the Lip TV for more.